Okay, so hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So we're going to have a discussion with Anthony Zender regarding some things that have been coming up, and it seems that a lot of the work that we've done over the years, people keep, coming in and trying to take credit for like different things that we've said, or Peter the Insider in particular. And we just want to provide some clarity. I mean, I think it got to a point where there's a lot of people who don't even know who we are, who are hearing disinformation regarding even the content, which is being taken out of context. And it's not about our feelings being hurt. I mean, we don't, it's not at that level, but it's a point of integrity and trying to hold up in some form of integrity in this community, because the community is really lacking in that area. And there's people are plagiarizing. They're doing everything that's extremely unprofessional. And and I think that if they're going to be lying about using other people's content, what is the validity and the truth about anything else that they're saying? So from there, I think we happened to see recently this person named Ismail Perez, who I have never met, I've never spoken to. From the get-go, when he came out, he accused the ACIO of being nothing more than AI, or essentially calling me a robot, calling Anthony a robot, or Peter a robot, that we are nothing, we're not human. I don't know, really, I was so stupid that I didn't address it. And then the other point was that we were under the Labyrinth group, which is also incorrect. We are not under the Labyrinth group. The Labyrinth group exists. It's a very old organization, but we are not under them. And just, trying to reframe not just us, but so many other groups, people that are not even here to defend themselves. It seems like he is just running rampant, reframing and redefining who people are, assuming the right to do that, which is delusional at best. And the community should recognize that. I don't know why they don't recognize it. Maybe they think it's fun that someone's, oh, this is new information, or they think it's exciting. But anyhow, Anthony, I'm kind of going on and on. I want to give you a shot of, sharing this information, what your thoughts are.
Okay, right, because when I saw the new video that Ismail Perez put up, it was the title was about addressing the corporations, and he brought that information out about the corporations, which in my we know that information comes from the ACIO and Peter about the corporations, Monarch, Kruger, Ultimate, Shoreline, Trinity, Chiron Incorporated, Tyon, all those
Shaw,
corporations.
not Straw. Shaw,
Shaw House, not Straw House, which Ismail Perez messed that up. But the thing is with addressing Ismail Perez, he made this chat. And of course, he has a large following, but that's actually good though, because he actually did bring this information up, and now more people know about it, and that's why he got attacked. Like he talks about that on his video. He lost like 3 computers, and had all this problems and stuff, and that's because he was presenting our information. And that's like the next, obviously the highest level, and they didn't want that happening. So he presented that, and he read from James Rink's book, that has that information in it that Peter gave to us, because that's from Peter, and James Rink does know that too. But Ismail Perez, like when he was reading off the information, he said that James Rink got it from a woman insider, which is not true.
Peter's not a woman, as far as I know. Right. I've seen Peter, You've seen Peter. He's definitely not a woman, and there's no one else. I mean, I wouldn't say it was me, because The truth is,
I
this
don't
is
know
not
if
my
he was
original
referring
content, it's
to you.
Peter's.
Right. And I don't know if he was referring to you and because he didn't
Yeah.
want to refer to Peter, but we know that information comes directly from Peter, which is he's not a woman. So that
Oh,
was a lie right there.
right.
And
Since
but
2017, I have proof. I have proof that this information is Peter's. I save everything because I knew way back then that people were going to do something like this. I had the foresight that I knew this was going to happen, and that's why they had me copyright a lot of the information. And if someone really wanted to get legal, we could. We don't want to go down that route, but if they really pushed it, we could. So
and it's
I'm just
like the thing
putting it
is
out
like
there.
with this information, this when I found Peter and he got into my files and read for me who that was part of Kruger and missions and stuff, that was the information I was looking for. Like Peter was the one I was looking for sure, to really get the real information. And now people are getting access to his information and they're trying to like pretend like it's coming from them,
Yeah.
because that keeps people coming back for more information, because people are losing information and disclosure, and now they're looking for new information.
But because he
So
didn't have the correct information, you could see he started to embellish. And this is what I'm saying is, look at the character, what's going on. And so if people just find this as entertaining, they don't really care, they don't really want to know whether what's accurate or what isn't accurate, then they're going to watch it. I mean, hey, people watch soap operas, they watch all sorts of things that are fictitious. And if they don't want real intel, or they want a distortion of intel, then someone can say, well, they pick out a name, or they look at the list of all of those corporations and start creating their own narrative on that, you know? So we should probably step back a bit, because James, who did shows with Peter and myself, I was there on many occasions. There was a few occasions I wasn't. Who, was providing this information, which I don't know if it was really taken serious at that time. We were trying to understand and learn and, get through some of the early intel was really rough to wade through. And the newer stuff, we kind of understand how it flows. And so, early on, it was a little difficult.
yeah, well, we've been connected with it since 2016 when Peter came out,
Right.
so we're definitely, we've stayed with him the whole time. Others have come and gone.
You and I were probably the longest, I would say. And then Olaf came in, James. But you and I were probably the earlier communications with him. And I was
So
already
that's when this information was first coming out, and now Ishmael Perez is presenting it like it's new intel,
new. Yeah.
and and it's just
I mean, he seems to be fascinated with other people's books, and then he decides to reframe them almost like I mean, it's a big, if anyone who's professional knows that it's a big no-no to take someone else's content. It immediately discredits a person in the real world, not in a world where people think, that are just deviant, and they think it's okay to just do this and that to each other. But in the real world, in a professional world, plagiarism is a really big deal. Right now there's a plagiarism issue in Harvard right now over the, I guess it's the president over Harvard. I mean, it's really a quick way to discredit yourself. And so, and he's not the only one. And it's possible, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it's possible he didn't know it was our information. He just thought it was James.
Okay.
However,
that's a possibility. I understand that too, because he had just, it seemed like he had just come across the information and taken it on as like actual real intel.
Something
That's
he
what
can
it
run
appeared.
with, and he can throw in his embellishments and fictitious add-ons
Well,
but
the thing
the problem
is
it changes the narrative of what Peter actually says. So then he goes and tells a falsehood about what the content is providing for the purpose of Intel, and then dilutes it with a fabrication.
Like just like well, you know, like you said, he's not the only one, because Kim Gogan also stole the material too, because she I saw the one where it was clear that she was literally writing down the names off the site: Monarch, you know, Mobius, Murkoff, you know, and then she was pretending like she had interactions with these organizations. She's like, oh yeah, Monarch, I just met with them the other day, you know, but she was lying, you know, she has no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah, but
And
it's like they're looking for material, and Peter has a wealth of material. I have archived videos which anyone can look at, like this moment. They can look it up. I've saved everything. I've backed it up. I have just, everything's on our radio station. There's multiple backups of all the information, because I knew when Peter came out, when I first started talking to him, about his accuracy, because he knew things about me that no one else could provide. And I was surrounded by gifted people for years. For a good 10 years or 15 years prior to meeting Peter, I was already working with highly qualified, you know, intuitive people, psychics, mediums, what have you, people that were very talented. And Peter knew more. And it was a whole different facet. And it really, he was supposed to be, I know he's got his own little quirkiness, and so do we, you know, but I think that, and if you're offended easily, you would
yeah,
not
I
stick around
really
with them.
I knew Peter was for real when he told me that Lincoln Clay would meet me in 2 months' time, and then 2 months later, I met Lincoln Clay. Like, Lincoln Clay was standing there in front of my pathway, like he knew where I was. And then when I met Lincoln Clay for real, that's when I'm like, Peter knows like
Yeah.
a lot. So um, and even Ishmael Perez mentioned Lincoln Clay too, and his unit, you know, that he's with, but he didn't mention Unit 374 because he obviously doesn't have that information yet. But
And even if he did, maybe he would insert himself in there. I don't know. I have no idea
well, the
where the
thing is
embellishments were done.
even with his the what he calls himself, because he does claim that he's an ultra soldier from Radiant Guardian. And where I actually found out, because I found out about the term ultra soldier from Peter,
Yes.
you know, and then and Lichtendaten, you know,
That was
that's
years ago.
yeah.
Years ago. It's
And
not like it's new.
yeah, what I saw was you know, he took the ultra soldier and the Radiant Guardian information, and then he put it together, and he calls himself an ultra soldier from Radiant Guardian. And I think he just kind of bestowed that title on himself.
Yeah. I mean, there are other groups there. We talked about, you know, the earlier groups that were talking about super soldiers, and the conversation has been going on for quite a while now. And anyone that has an inside information regarding the deeper aspects of the military have knowledge that they're building up these soldiers for other purposes. So some of that information is generic. It's not like someone owns a copyright to it, or that's their private information. But the type of intel Peter provided was different. It was beyond some of the baseline information of the super soldiers.
Right. The whole community, the UFOlogy community, this information was above all of that. You know, that takes you into the next level,
Yeah,
like adding UFOlogy and all that.
you get to see
That's
more
what
of the inner
his
workings.
information does.
Peter is the first one that brought up corporations and
That's
helped
true.
shed light on the corporations that no one else has done. And you know, people have asked me, so, you know, you're the one who's providing some of the intel. None of this intel is mine, but I do see some of the things. And Peter, you know, I've heard people complain about me saying, oh, who does she think she is, being in the 12th division, and who selected her? And I'm like, you know, first of all, I'm not part of the 12th division. I'm part of the 6th division, but supporting the 12th division, right? Peter is the director of the 12th Division, and I've never said I was the director of the 12th Division, but there was another woman who was complaining about me, saying that I was a part of this, and I said, you know, that's not true. And, you know, just going on and on, you know, critiquing what we're doing. And I don't have any ego in this. I don't really, I know you don't, Anthony. And like, you know, something you said to me before is that you could step away and you could stand on your own. You've been, you know, out there long enough. You have, you know, people, you have been able to prove that you are an elite soldier, and there's no fabrication whatsoever. And everyone on the team, in my opinion, has validated themselves immensely. And there were even others not on the team, but are in contact with us that I highly respect. And here again, I don't feel like I'm above anyone, although the only difference is that I can provide guidance and assist, and that is my primary goal. And there are people that try to muddy it and they try to make it look bad. And you know, we're just here to support ourselves. There are males, there are females. We mostly show the males because we need the team to be cohesive at this time. It's very critical. But there are definitely females in the background as well. But if people approached us or they were talking about our information, and all they have to do is say, this information came from Peter the Insider. That's it.
Yeah.
But it's so hard for them to do that. And getting back to James, I know that there was an argument. It was a petty argument. I don't think it was, maybe it was the last straw. I don't know. To this day, I have no information on it. And that's it. And he's probably going to be upset that I said this, but I'm not really saying anything other than what happened. To this day, we have no idea.
You just tell the truth, you know, you just tell the truth. That's what we're doing, you know.
Yeah.
So we're just telling, we're not like you said, ranting and raving. We're just acknowledging, you know, what's going on with, you know, disclosure and clearing up things that need to be cleared up.
And so Peter, you know, he is a military guy. There's absolutely no way around it. He's military and he's very bold and blunt about what he says. And so sometimes he's not gentle. He's not comforting. He just says it like it is. And so there was a conversation, I was not present, between him and James. James started screaming, was very angry at him, and then blocked Peter. And Peter was like, I have no idea what just happened. So it was a trigger of some sort. And right. So
a lot of people get mad at Peter.
Well, because Peter had, like, if someone says, oh, you know, you were abducted, or you were in a my lab, or they did a lobotomy on you. I mean, he said that to you, he said that to me. You know what I do when he gives me that information? Then I try to heal myself. So, and instead, other people get offended. You're not supposed to get offended. The information is there for you to take and to help yourself out of the situation, because if you don't resolve that problem, it won't go away. So it will come up in different ways in your experience. So trying to help people to better understand. So the combination of all of us, you know, talking from our own point of view, and even doing the shows with Peter and I, he'll say something, I try to explain it in a different perspective so people better understand. So somewhere along the line, there was a falling out, and James expressed a separation, which we were like, all right, so that's his choice. Nothing else. We never said you have to come back. We never threatened it. We never did anything like that, you know, because why? You know, he has free will. So with free will, yeah, so then he moved on, but he held a grudge or something, and then tried to, I think he was still doing shows, and I know he was talking about a lot of the content that Peter provided him, because it essentially established him as a super soldier. He validated a lot of information for him, and then he struggled over giving him credit. And then I was known as the person that is not important. So we don't need to mention her at all, which is fine. I don't need anyone's approval. I didn't come in this to become, popular, famous, whatever. I came in to reveal the information I have for people that actually appreciate it. If they don't appreciate it, they find someone else that they resonate with, that's fine. And I don't really care, but it didn't hurt my feelings. But, essentially, then he started putting in I remember towards the end, he was typing all the information Peter gave him during a live show, which you can access that show on his channel, and showing that his information directly came from what Peter was saying. He was literally narrating, providing the information, and then James was typing it all in, and that became his add-on to his book. But to say that there was a female insider, no, not unless there was an alteration to Peter's gender, which we know hasn't happened.
Right.
We would say
that's
that.
what when he said that, I was like, that's not right, and I just had to bring that up because we know the information has come from Peter, and that's the thing, is like the revealing of the corporations is like super sensitive, important information, because revealing that information just actually gives you an idea of another reality that actually exists, and this information definitely makes that known, is that there's another reality, and then that reality is bleeding through into this one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I know that probably James added, I would say he added some other content in it that was not Peter's, but anything that was related to the ACIO, it was like 95% correct. Some of it went off on another tangent or added on information. Either he had another conversation with Peter, or I knew that he was working with other people, intuitives, that were providing information or regressions, which is, whatever. But, you're supposed to keep the content clean and then say, this is my view on how I experienced it, to specify. But I have, if it keeps on going in this direction, I can just keep putting out information about the origin and what Peter said originally and going back into the archives. But it's like, why do we even have to do it in this day and age? I mean, why are people so unethical? Why are they, I'm not saying that I'm surprised. I know that people are cutthroat and they'll do anything to get attention. But don't they think that eventually someone's going to find out, especially our group, who's fairly vocal,
Yeah, that's what I wonder too, so it's just, I don't understand, why you wouldn't give credit where credit is due. I mean, I always give credit to Peter, for the information, and then I even give credit for James, to James too, about finding him in Super Soldier Talk, and that helping me in my journey to understanding who I was. So I'll always give credit where it's due.
Yeah, and it's but you're a person of integrity, and something that and that's why some amazing things happen around you as well. I mean, because if you really are in a place of inner truth, I know some people are in some kind of delusion, because this is really complex. When you start doing spiritual work, you can actually float into this other space. I know, because I taught meditation for years. You can go off. And
it's funny because that space is like, a good example of what that space is on Doctor Strange, when she shows him the mirror dimension, and they just pass into that space that you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, it's a place of illusion, and sometimes it's not everything is as you think it is, and you have to break through that space. Um, a lot of people are going into like meditations. They're taking a lot of new age courses. They're experimenting. They want to get their memories back. They're doing regressions. Sometimes the people don't know what they're doing in the regressions, and they implant false narratives. I always record everything every regression that I do with people, because so then they can go back and look at it and see what they said, the questions that I'm asking. And the difference is that when I'm working with them in a regression, I'm actually seeing into the space with them. I'll ask them if they see something that I'm seeing, or sometimes they say no. They don't always say yes. And it doesn't necessarily bring it in as, but it's the whole thing of, it's a very, very sacred space, the places that you go to in your spiritual journey. And some people get lost in it. Sometimes they step out of the body for too long. They try to remote view. Sometimes they can be affected, or even, just go out of the body for a
Yeah,
long period of time.
sometimes you don't want to come back.
Right. I mean, it can be very blissful. It can also be like you're encountering some kind of being.
Sometimes you don't want to go back, but sometimes you want to come back, fast.
Right.
So
Right.
it's just
So I sometimes, when I see some of these people that are jumping in and saying that they're super soldiers and they want to figure it out, instead of going down the right route, they go into an in-between, like a space that is like a mirror reality, or the information isn't quite right. Sometimes they can be in contact with a lying spirit, like maybe their intentions are good, but they're connected to a lying spirit. I'm just giving an example or benefit of the doubt that Ishmael's out there somewhere and he's not thinking clearly. Same thing with James. And maybe there's a euphoria of having all these people listen to every word that you say. There is a sense of power there.
it is the age of the online gurus,
Yeah.
and actual cults. Like that's what's happening, with the online people and stuff. They're creating cults and being literally gurus, you know. So got to look out for that.
Yeah, and I don't like to, it keeps on coming back and forth to this place, and I've actually heard people say that about Kim Gogan as well, that she goes out there and she's, maybe not, well, you could say, well, she's not in touch with reality, but maybe she was doing her spiritual work and then went somewhere else, or maybe her intention is to discredit certain people. I don't know, but I've even had people ask me why she's not on our website, because she's convinced everyone that she's working with us.
Right.
So,
right.
and that's the other thing too. I mean, I recognize that maybe in a roundabout way, maybe they did want to be a part of what we're doing, which would have been easily resolved if they approached us in the right way. And we could have found out where their niche was and so forth. But as of right now, I mean, I think it creates a distraction from the energy, from the information that Peter's trying to provide, which is clearly critical right now, where we're launching that this new change in our whole reality, and in chaos and wars and things like that. So his information has become very, very important for everyone. And people taking that information, diluting it, changing it, altering it, whether it's intentional or unintentional, is going to get in the way of the people getting the information that actually need it. We don't need to I mean, if a lot of people hear about the information, that's great. But I always say that, I'd rather have a few really good people as opposed to a lot of people that don't really care and think it's just entertainment, which I think we have already, and I'm pretty content. But still, that because of our lack of numbers, which people see that as credibility notches, so you have a lot of people that appear to be a part of, your community and that have subscribed. But people don't realize a lot of people buy subscriptions too. And you can kind of measure that by seeing how many people actually are watching per show. And you can see this huge overflow of people that are not watching.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah, I just it's I know even though people are stealing information, it's still good that it's like getting out there, and some these people they're getting information, and hopefully they get guided to the right source, which is the ACIO and Peter. But at least the information is getting out there, and it is getting to that point where this information is like getting more accepted in the community and stuff.
I think Peter has proven himself over and over again. The other point, and I recognize, is that Peter is ahead of the curve. He knows when things are happening, and he usually tells us, and then they happen afterwards. And this one was really a close call, this last one, which we did that show recently about, the ICBMs and some of the others. Now, of course, there are powers that do not want this information out, and we recognize that we're contending with that as well. So whether it's government or deep state or someone that doesn't want this information coming out, because Peter has revealed things multiple times that people refuse to look at and knew about the pandemic.
The secret space program doesn't want this information to come out.
I don't know if it's a secret space program. I think it's the dark state, the ones that are planning these events, that they don't want people to be prepped or prepared or to shift the reality. And so in that sense, Peter has been a lifeline to us. And not to praise him like he's a god or anything like that, but he literally put himself into a dangerous position. So have I, so have you, of providing information that is ahead of the curve. And that's just across the board. That goes with anyone that does this type of work. We're not claiming to be martyrs. We're not, into we don't want any praise. We just want people to be truthful and honest about the information. We work very hard.
Be prepared for like what is happening and what's unfolding, and like to be informed, and prepared with because the secret of tyranny is keeping the people ignorant, but the secret of freedom is enlightening them and educating them.
Yeah. Oh, well, here's another example. Peter has informed us of all of these corporations, and it's the soft disclosure as them coming from video games, because I'm sure that there might be some people listening and say, well, that's all from video games. How could you take credit for that? Well, Peter's describing how that they actually do exist, and then he gives other factual information that no one else has provided before. But it is soft disclosure, and it does make a lot of sense that the corporations have power, but also that they're coming from the future in many occasions, or even from, they're time travelers who have been in the past and in our future, and seeing how they've influenced our societies. So by having this information, helping people to see patterns in their lives that are aligned with Monarch or Mobius, their type of MyLabs and patterns, that we can find that people are trapped there or stuck there, or providing that information where they have recall that they're associated, to pull out of them. Because when these corporations actually collapse, those that get stuck and trapped in those, from a spiritual level, people that don't believe in spirituality, that's fine. I can't really work with that right now. But those that understand that your existence is multidimensional, and so if you are trapped in one of these MyLabs and something related, I don't believe in victimization. like someone says, oh, let's just complain and complain and complain because, that's why the secret space program's evil because there's my labs. No, the secret space didn't do this. This came, you always have, the good and the bad in every situation. And so there's an alternate of everything that happens. And so it becomes, they come in sometimes together at the same time. So you have these corporations, if you don't disconnect from them energetically, when they collapse, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it on some level. And that's the part that I've done plenty of hours and hours of work with people regarding that separation. That's why Peter says, oh yeah, you were abducted in this state at the age of 2 or something, you know what I mean? Or you were harmed in some other way. For me, he tells me I was taken by Murkoff, right? Mm-hmm. For you, I don't know what you're.
At six, I'm not sure who I was taken by, but he said I was taken at 6. Yeah. And I even have the memory of them coming to take me too. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. So it starts off that every soul that comes in, every being that comes in has a certain form of identification, right? So those that had previous super soldier experiences are, have like an asterisk or, something to identify that they had many lives or they have done, and that's the kind of information that Peter told James Rink. Mm-hmm. He'd had many lives like that. And so even though it didn't seem to fully manifest here, but so for you, in your super soldier, we all have our own ID and there were different groups that we were associated with, and then they pick us up again at early childhood. But also mm-hmm. those that want to remove the soldiers or to harm the soldiers so they're dysfunctional, take them and MyLab them as well.
Right.
Because people say, well, they have to go through this process of fracturing in order to use them. No, they're already soldiers. Why do they need that? Mm-hmm. All they need is memory and recall, and they can just jump right into it. I've seen little kids do things that are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, right.
Something.
Yeah, it's that's the thing too, is like in the community too, like I'm not getting too into it, but a lot of people like to, see the super soldier thing and then want to be one and then create their self to be one and make up things about being a super soldier and when they're not probably a super soldier. And that happens a lot.
Well, they take on someone else's storyline, which I had people saying that they were had experienced some of the same stuff that I have, and people, someone just saying that, oh yeah, I'm the 6th Division and this and that, and I understand that there's a sort of like, oh yeah, you're I'm one of you guys, and like I said, it's the same thing that they think the information is interesting and they want to be a part of it, but it's not going to help you if you're using someone else's information because there's no link to that energetically. But you might find out, the individual might find out that what they really went through is even more interesting, So why take on someone else's experience when you have your own storyline, your own history?
I mean, I am not, I'm calling people out, I guess, now and stuff but there's another person named Joseph Powell where he made up some a story about me, him, Johann Fritz, and Michael Jaco. Apparently we're on a mission to kill reptilians or something, and he took a picture that was on the internet of a kid like holding up this reptilian head, and that was all like a fake picture anyway, because I've seen reptilians and they're way crazier than that. Yeah. and basically he made up this whole story about us being on a squad so he could place. He took the he took three real super soldiers, Michael Jaco, uh, Johann Fritz, and me, and he put himself in with us so that he could be accepted into the community as a super soldier. When I know he's making up stories.
But he didn't need
So,
to. He didn't need to, right? So maybe he did have a memory of something, but why insert those people that are not related to it?
and
Or
he
maybe,
did that. That's where his downfall was. Where I was able to expose what he was doing, because he probably has some memories and stuff. But if you're starting to embellish things and make up stories, that's what, like you said, your integrity goes out the window. And how can I accept anything you're saying?
yeah, you can't sustain the energy because there's holes in the story. And then eventually people will find those holes. And people, I think they think that they're going to be around for a long time, but they don't realize that there are certain people that are writing down all sorts of notes, and they're challenging. And like I have people still to this day asking me information about the Andronicus transmissions, seeing if that it was a fabrication or a lie. And so, or they're trying to, see if there's any holes in the story. And I welcome that. I think that's for me, when you're telling the truth, you don't have any problem with that. But for others, they're going to be in for a surprise if anything was inaccurate or truthful of what they said. Because there are people that are taking notes. I know that for a fact. I've experienced it already. And I'm sure you have as well. People, challenging you and questioning certain things, which is great. I think you should. You should absolutely be questioning what's going on.
That is the path. That's the first step.
Yeah. So, regarding, I think the thing with Joseph Parle that was also bad was that he said that you guys all killed Max Spears, which is something you would not participate in and have anything to do with.
See, that's what I'm saying is, he did say that, and then that's putting me in a, see, because I never remembered that or anything, and so that's using me, in his story, which I know is not true. So,
which is an agenda of some sort, yeah. Yeah, whatever whatever anticipated outcome he had, I don't know, but you don't use other people for that kind of agenda. Yeah.
But I just, I just want things to be straight, and set straight, and people to be honest and have integrity, and then give credit to where it is deserved.
Yeah. I thought it was, we were kind of commenting about when Ishmael was making that presentation and he had problems with his technology, and then he had something in his eyes. And I kept on seeing there was like these fairy beings that kind of, or those little beings that watch over Peter. They were just kind of messing with him while he was doing that.
That makes sense. That's
it
that's
doesn't
funny.
hurt him, but just to it's trying to hit the consciousness of like stop what you're doing, whatever your intention is. We know that your intention isn't good right now, so just stop. And so I'm seeing him rub his eyes, and then someone says, "Oh yeah," they empathically, try to say, "Oh yes, I'm having that problem too." But this stuff is very real. You don't.
I know now that Ishmael's touched upon this information. I think he'll probably be learning more about it now. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna have to know about it in order to talk more about it. So that will be interesting to see what he talks about it in the future.
And I guarantee you, like I would be willing to talk to anybody. I really have nothing, no apprehension to talk to anyone. If he would reach out and said he wanted to discuss the information, I would have. I'm sure you would have done the same. And maybe, like I said, we'll give him this much of a benefit of the doubt that he really thought he was just reading James's information. But I don't think we're that hidden. And a lot of people who say that they don't know about us seem to be using some of our information one way or another. And I know that for years during some of those I don't know, shows or whatever they're called, like in Las Vegas, that Peter's name has been mentioned multiple times. So it's not a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like I said, if you want to be angry at Peter because you don't like his personality, you need to look beyond that and get the information. Not everyone resonates with every personality. I mean, there are people that will like me, not like someone else, or will not like me, and vice versa. That, you know, some people don't like someone just because of the way they look, the way they talk, or, you know, this is the whole list of psychological reasons why people connect and just don't connect. He's a little, you know, he's a soldier. He acts like a soldier, so this should be attracting soldiers. I've had a bunch of, I call them the knitting circle. There's a bunch of older women that are protectors of James Rink. It's like a older woman, and like, you know, oh, you need to apologize to James. I'm like, for what? For what? Nothing has happened here. And then the other part was, I can mediate. I can help you to communicate. Like, I don't know how to communicate with him, and if he chose not to speak to me, that was his choice. I never blocked him. I never said, you know, we're not talking or anything like that. But I recognize that there's, you know, levels of like I said, personality, maturity. You know, people see everything in black and white, or they don't like something, or they don't want to be a part of something. So a variety of reasons. But lying about a source will quickly discredit an individual. And so maybe it doesn't happen today, it doesn't happen tomorrow, but eventually it will happen. And
yeah, like in the future videos, if Ishmael's going to be using the corporations and talking about them, he needs to acknowledge Peter, the insider, and where that's coming from. So if he doesn't do that, then he is definitely taking the information.
And we're not going to let it go. And
that's true.
If it keeps on, you know, pushing and whatever, it doesn't matter if he's reading from a book, because prior to that, I had that information. So prior to James, I had that information from Peter.
Right. And after James learned it, that's when that's when he put it in his book.
And Peter was okay with him putting in the book with the trust that he was going to get credited. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just most people expect that. And right. So, and it was normal to expect that. So that's it's going to be a hard learning experience, because our presence isn't going away, and we will continue to remind people. And it's not going to.
That's what I'm saying. Is we've had the most solid group in the community since 2016, really.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. And I don't know how many shows with Peter. Information, so much information, and I know it's hard to wade through, you know, but we're trying to do that. We're trying to go through some of the archives and then pull out, you know, some of these gems that are actually manifesting right now here, and that, you know, he forewarned us. He was here. He was, you know, a voice from the future, a voice from the past, and he is put himself out there to tell information that he wasn't supposed to tell. And he's been hit for that. He's sacrificed for that. He's never asked for anything in return.
Right.
Other than
that's the amazing thing. Yeah. You know, like when he was reading everybody's files to them, he wasn't asking for money, you know, and he would talk to each person for like 4 hours, 5 hours, you know. It's just incredible what he's done.
And I mean, I charge people only because, I mean, he does have a form of income. But I told Peter, I said, Peter, I'm going to charge people. I said, I'm letting you know. I said, so it doesn't come back to you. I said, but I will keep it at a fee where it's affordable. So some people think I'm stupid for doing that, but
No,
my goal,
you gotta, make money for your services on this plane.
yeah. Unfortunately, he's in a place where he has resources and working directly with the ACIO. I have more of a telepathic communication with them. So, and they bring in money for me from expected and unexpected sources, like the different waves. If ever I get stuck somehow, and there are those that are supportive of my work. But yes, Peter has been, from the heart. He reaches out to people. He tells them really harsh truths. Sometimes it's hard for him to do that, but if he held back anything, it's not going to benefit anyone. He had to tell them everything.
Mm-hmm.
So for a fact that what he said was the truth. Whether you agree with it or not is a different issue. But sometimes you just need to wait around a little while, and then you'll see, wow, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah. That happens. That definitely happens. Like, it's been, since 2016, but it's taken even me some time to be able to understand this information, and there's still things I don't understand, but like as far as like for the video games being soft disclosure, and Peter bringing that information in, I saw the change of that truth being acknowledged more and more by more and more people, throughout time, because that was the hard thing for people to do, was to see a video game or a movie and actually know that was soft disclosure.
Well, I think people have noticed, like, when the games started coming out, and depends on what your age was and when you started playing the games, they kind of got big before I was already an adult when they started to get big, and people would get very immersed in it. And my son was like, I mean, that was the most important thing in the world for him to get a game. And they even went to this whole thing where they would he would have his game set up. His friends would have their games set up at their homes, so they had enough electrical outlets and freedom to do whatever they wanted. And that was their hangout time. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't even understand this, because, in my generation, kids would get together, they'd hang out together, they'd be there and then have food, or they'd, whatever, they get a beer or whatever. I mean, I'm talking, he was much younger than that, but the whole concept of what video games did to these generations. And then so many went in and started taking on this role of a military, or recalling how they were in a part of military interactions, to the point where, like, in the Return to Tarkov, Peter said that the whole thing that happened in Russia, where it created a bleed through of that actual game. It
Right.
actually manifested in the power of the mind, and these kids got so intensely involved that they manifested that reality there.
Yeah, that's the power of our mind, though.
Yeah.
And they know that, the elite know that too. That's why they control us with mind control, so that they know that we create the reality. So they know that, and until we know that as a collective, we're not going to be able to change the whole reality. So we need to definitely wake up to that.
Yeah. And another thing that was really kind of odd to me, and I kept on, like, what are they talking about, is they kept on using the word egregora. And that was a word that Peter brought in, because we were like, egregor, what? He just, like, the way he introduced it, and we were like, well, and he had to spell it out for me, and I had to look at it, and it was essentially like karma. So then James took that word, I guess, in his book, by the way that Ishmael was reading it, sounded like that was a name of that woman that gave him intel. I don't know. It was I don't know.
Yeah, that's all
It's
jacked
like,
up.
what?
That's all. Yeah,
So
that's
this
all
is what I'm
jacked up like
saying,
that.
how things become convoluted, and maybe he thought he was being creative and writing it that way, but it becomes, it can become, the meaning can become convoluted of why he brought that in, but clearly a word that Peter used. You know when Peter uses a specific word, because sometimes you have no idea what he's, what the word is, or what the origin of, and he introduced that term as opposed to the way people use karma,
Right.
because it's like the repercussion of something. But yeah, so
Yeah, it is just addressing, just these little things. I'm gonna enjoy, watching Ishmael and what he comes up with now, that have to do with this information. Oh, so
yeah, well, I mean, we did name a few other people too. Who knows? Like I said, if the people just come clean, and I don't know why it becomes like such a game, and they're worried that one person is getting attention, or we're not going along with their narrative. So, that it's easy for them to take shots at us, to thinking that it will further prove that they're right. And I'm sure over the years there were some good people that kind of got pushed and shoved out of the community because they wouldn't work with the narrative. And so, you have to be pretty strong and solid in your content and your purpose and reason why you're here. But I mean, it's like I said, it's still, cutthroat integrity or whatever, which is an issue and shouldn't be here in the community, especially right now when humanity is really at risk. We're at the verge of some very critical things. It's a bad, really bad. It's very, very
yeah,
bad.
we gotta come together right now. That's what we gotta do.
Right,
Hmm.
right.
Turn this around.
Yeah. Let everyone get on the right page, and let's have a higher purpose. Let's have a higher purpose. Do the right thing. Give credit where credit's due, or at least refer people back so they can get the correct information. Don't try to embellish other people's content. Leave it alone. Do your own personal work. Get your own insight, and then share that with people that will be uplifting, but not, or warning them, or what have you. But make it your, I mean, people have their own connections, and if they don't do that and they're just taken from others, it's diminishing for themselves.
Hmm.
So I mean, everything's free will. I mean, we're not here, obviously we're you can't control everything around the situation, but we will protest and complain if our information is misappropriated.
Yep,
And
that's why we're here right now talking about this.
right. And we'll continue talking about it until it stops. And I was talking to you about people saying that the ACIO is Anunnaki, which is completely idiotic, because if the Anunnaki were here, they wouldn't be existing right now. You know what I mean? They were a very violent group,
Hmm.
the Anunnaki,
Right.
and they wouldn't tolerate anything. And so, or you might be sent to a slave something, slave planet
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's what we would be definitely be more enslaved than we are
Yeah.
already. But
The Anunnaki just were very, very powerful beings, and they have since dispersed, and they're just not here. I mean, if someone says you're an Anunnaki, I believe I was an Anunnaki in a past life, but am I physically an Anunnaki right now? No, but I have memories of being there. But am I physically there? No. So that does not qualify as being an Anunnaki,
mhm.
right?
We're humans. You know what I'm saying?
We're in human
That's
form.
what
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I am. I'm a human. So
but we have recall, and we have our abilities and all of this other stuff that just trying to show the way for other people to kind of grow into that phase for themselves. So yeah, we're the ACIO does have ETs and hybrids and those that are very enhanced. As part of it, I'm not a robot. You're not a robot. We are not AI. It's kind of weird that someone would even say that. But here again, gathering information from others without it's a wrong intel or wrong source. And so we'll keep on saying it until people get it, I guess. Not our community, because they know who we are, but there are new people that don't know, and they're basing it on others. But I think that's all we need to say for right now, unless they need us to bring in another conversation at another time. What do you think?
I guess, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds, but I think we definitely covered what we needed to.
Okay, Anthony. And I really wish that we could have used this hour to talk about some other issues, but unfortunately, instead of providing, instead of working on some of the things that we should be working on, we had to stop at this moment to bring in to correct some information before it goes off. So we'll provide that video underneath in the comment section so people can see what he said as opposed to what we said. Maybe he will get all offended and say something, I don't know, but he really doesn't have any right to be offended at this point, using our trademarked copywritten information.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he knows he knows where it's coming from now.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's all. Very, very simple to resolve, right? One way. This information came from Peter the Insider. That's it.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Anthony.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if that comes. We'll see if that acknowledgement is acknowledged.
Yeah. We'll keep you updated. Or sure, some of you will keep me updated. Sometimes the public gets to me first. All right. Well, thank you, Anthony, for your time. I appreciate it. You can get back to doing the things that you do best. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And here again, I apologize. We have to provide this information, but unfortunately, it's necessary at this time. So we would like to get back into the work of serving those around us. So have a good day, everyone.
The most esoteric news in the media. Fringe content with curious, unexplainable accuracy, where East meets West in support of a global integrity and sustainability in these dire times. Raw truth without compromise. Boots on the ground, military, super soldier intel, and elite soldier update. Peter the Insider leads the way as a primary source of intel from the ACIO's 12th Division, as a director of many teams and as an elite soldier and traveler. Jessica is from the 6th Division of the ACIO, Cicada 3301, and a universal soldier wall rider. You will hear many discussions on early intel, bleed-throughs, time travel missions of Peter, as he frontiers other contexts of existence, timelines that have experienced dystopian and war-riddled outcomes, as well as future existences. There will be a lot of references to elite corporations, soft and hard disclosure, and more. Peter often discusses his teams, the Merge, Unit 374, the Kruger Associates, and other assets. The primary intention is to prepare humanity for the coming age, shift away, and warn us about destructive future negative outcomes, correct our timelines through conscious awareness, truth, and collective decision-making regarding a better or universal outcome. Beware, this content is not for the faint of heart, but only those bold enough to face challenges of what is revealed through Peter the Insider's journey. You will become more aware of the other contexts of existence, the future or high strangeness, retrograde timelines into the past, where dystopia is common and the war-riddled landscapes of survival are described. Warning, you will need patience and understanding, as this is not Peter the Insider's first language. Although multilingual, his origins are from Slovakia, and his life profession is that of an elite soldier. However, if you can get past this challenge, you will be the first to know what may be on the horizon of our future.